A young guy is sitting at a doctor's appointment with a woman and is interested in whether he is sick or not, and whether his illness can be cured. A man and a woman are sitting behind him. The doctor looks thoughtfully at the computer monitor. Then, she says it's not a disease. At the age of a young person, this is a normal physiological phenomenon. He shouldn't worry so much. The guy scratches the back of his head and thinks about why such a beautiful girl works in the clinic on the shift when he came. He thinks that he was unlucky, but he thanks the doctor out loud. The guy asks permission to leave, asking that since he is healthy, he does not need medication. He gets up and leaves, and the doctor tells him that he does not need to take medications, but it is worth monitoring the condition. He turns around and asks why he should be watching. The girl takes off her mask, bends down to the guy's ear and, addressing him by the name of Cheng Guang, says that he has had this condition for several days, and this is really too much. In general, boys' physical development ends by the age of 22. Until then, he should watch less useless things for his health and take good care of himself. Cheng Guang walks away from the doctor and confusedly says that he will definitely take care of himself. Chen walks down the street and thinks he hasn't watched anything the doctor has been talking about lately. He thinks that he has been hearing a woman's voice in his sleep for 5 days. It's like someone is talking in his ear. The voice talks and talks without stopping. Chen remembers the thin and gentle voice of a dark-haired girl whispering in his ear. Chen thinks that this voice penetrates him like poison and opens doors to the very heart. He is not sleeping because of this voice, tossing from side to side in his sleep. How it all started. 5 days ago, Chen picked up a mug that one of his passengers had left in the car. That weirdo, without saying anything, immediately drowned somewhere, and his mug was left lying in the back seat in Chen's car. He then specifically looked at the passenger, but still did not remember the face. You'd think he was driving a ghost. The passenger did not leave a very valuable thing. Just a metal mug with the image of some ancient Chinese beauty. Chen remembers the image of a girl with a forgotten passenger mug and thinks that his current condition is karma for stealing a mug. He doesn't know what to do, maybe to become a monk. A residential building illuminated by sunlight. Chen thinks about the fact that there is only a month left before the English exam. If he does not pass the 4th level, he will not receive a diploma. Chen receives a message on his phone from Wen, who asks where he is. Chen recalls that he agreed with Wen to study in the library, and he had completely forgotten about it. So Chen runs to the library. In it, a pretty dark-haired girl is waiting for him, sitting at one of the tables. Chen is surprised to ask what Wen is offering him. He says that her proposal is already a bit too much. His heart will stand up now. Van tells him that he is already in his 3rd year, and at the same time, he does not learn English, but spends time trying to take a taxi. She asks not to tell her later that she did not warn. By the end of the school year, there will be a lot of things to do. If Chen fails the 4th level, then he will not get a diploma. Chen in response says that it is no longer in any gate. Wen gets up and slams her hands on the table, telling Chen to stop complaining. She will do what she promised. She wants to give him the best motivation possible. After all, if Chen does not get a diploma, he will work as a taxi driver for the rest of his life. Wen continues, saying that she takes her words seriously, so she is ready to repeat to him again that if Chen passes English, he will receive a reward. Wen says that he and Chen are friends, and friends should make small sacrifices for each other. Chen understands that after such a promise, he does not have peace of mind. He asks Van again if she is serious and is not breeding. She replies that she is very serious. Then, Van offers to go back to school. She says it's time for Chen to take a look at his work. It's just a nightmare. Out of 10 tasks, he did not answer any of them correctly. She's only making this deal for Chen, because if you don't motivate him somehow, then he's fucked. Chen says that Wen is a real friend. She promised to help him with English and fulfills her promise by helping, although in a very strange way. Chen thanks her. Chen and Wen begin to study, having worked on the mistakes on Chen's writings. Then, Chen goes and works as a taxi driver. At home, he reads a book before going to bed, and falling asleep, he thinks about how tired he is. Chen dreams of closing his eyes and waking up already knowing English. In a dream, Chen hears a voice asking for blood. Chen's blood. The girl asks him that if he wants to know English, then let him give her his blood. If he gives her blood, he will learn everything he wants in a day. The girl continues to ask for blood. Chen wakes up covered in sweat. He doesn't understand what it was. What a stupid dream he had. What kind of payment in blood? Of course, he wants to pass the exam, but not at the cost of his own life. Chen calms down and lies down again, trying to fall asleep. He speaks, demanding the voice to be silent. How tired he was of it all. Behind him on the nightstand is a mug left in his car by a passenger. The girl depicted on it speaks again, asking if he can listen to her to the end. She didn't say she needed all his blood. He can at least give a nosebleed. What does it cost him? He made a deal with that girl, she can help too. The girl continues, saying that there are 3,000 dimensions in her magic glass. With the help of measurement, he can reach heights in any one skill he wants. And his English is nothing at all. Chen sleeps without listening to the whole monologue. The mug on his bedside table is bursting with screaming, as the queen imprisoned in it may die. She asks Chen for his blood, just a little bit, just a drop. Chen continues to sleep. School library. Chen sits and solves the task. He thinks that because of the exam, his nerves are already completely giving out. Yesterday he had a dream about a vampire who offered to teach him English for blood. In his opinion, this is the finish line. Chen thinks that maybe it's all about Wen and her promise. Wen, on the other hand, is sitting next to him and watching Chen practice. The embarrassed one turns away from her, continuing to solve the task. Van looks at his back and wonders why he came to her rescue earlier. She remembers how she came to the computer club. There, 2 guys clung to her, who began to molest her. She answered them with a threat that it was better to leave her alone and let her pass. Suddenly, Chen appeared between her and the guys, who asked the bailiff to leave the girl alone. Chen suggested that they go their separate ways, in response to which they asked him who he was. After that, the guys attacked Chen and began to beat him, telling him not to pretend to be a hero. Wujin is their neighborhood. This treatment of Chen made Wen very angry. She hit first one attacker, then another. Wen started hitting them when she was pulled back by Chen, who said that it was not necessary to fight with them. Someone called the police, they need to get out of here. Then turned on him with a look full of rage and stabbed him in the stomach. Chen was shocked by what was happening. When Van saw what she had done, she said she was mistaken. She decided that Chen was another one of those guys. In the present, Chen put down his pen after finishing the test. He turned around, looked at Wen and told her that she had a strange expression on her face. He asked her what she was thinking. Van tells him that she remembered their first meeting. She is a complete weakling, but then he rushed to her aid without hesitation. She keeps wondering how he had the courage to do such an act. Chen picks up the textbook and in horror asks Wen not to remember about it. Who knew that a pretty girl would turn out to be a beast and beat up 2 bullies, and at the same time kick her defender? If he had known it would end like this, he wouldn't have meddled. Chen asks Wen not to interfere with his reading, and he continues to study convulsively. After class, Chen and Wen, leaving the library, walk down the street. Chen ruefully thinks that he even has huge gaps in his basic knowledge. Suddenly, someone behind them calls out to Van, asking her to stop. This is Zheng He, a handsome blonde man. He says that if he had known that Van would be in the library today, he would have taken their place on the roof. He comes closer to Wen and Chen, and looking at the latter says that she should not communicate with all sorts of beggars. Chen takes a look at him and thinks that Lai Zheng is not arrogant, calling him a beggar. Wang angrily kicks his foot on the asphalt, and with hatred looking at Zheng says to get out. Chen watches this picture and thinks about what Zheng He is trying so hard to achieve when Zheng flirts with her almost every day, so it's already sick to watch. Chen understands that beautiful people also cry from unrequited love. Who would have thought? Zheng tells Wen that she is funny, and he thinks to himself that he wouldn't even approach her if it weren't for the state and status of her family. Wen says she wasn't joking, but was serious, and asks Zheng to get out of here. He is very angry at her words. Wen asks if Zheng is trying to piss her off on purpose. Zheng says of course not. He just likes her. At the same time, Zheng notices that their fellow students are watching their conversation, who are standing behind him and discussing what is happening. Zheng understands that now the whole university will come running to them to watch how Wen is rejecting him, so he decides that he urgently needs to change the subject. Zheng grabs Chen by the shoulder and tells him that the frog thinks that in the company of a swan, she also becomes a swan. The frog should be careful, otherwise it will be accidentally crushed. Zheng walks around Chen and without turning around, Chen asks if he knows how a swan differs from a frog. Zheng also answers him without turning around that of course he knows. A swan differs from a frog in status, but Chen will never understand this. Zheng thinks he is superior to Chen in every way. He has a higher status, a better appearance and more money. There is nothing in which Zheng would be inferior to this frog. Chen, taking Wen by the hand and leading her away, says that probably a swan is different from a frog with bird flu. And since one swan is already sick here, it's time for the second one to get out of here before he gets infected. Chen and Wen leave, and the latter laughs and admires how Chen put Zheng in his place. Zheng looks after him and saying insults to Chen says that he will answer to him for this. Car parking. Several cars are parked. Chen leans back in the driver's seat and talks about how tired he is. Today he had a sea of passengers. He notices a mug lying in his car, a mug with a picture of a girl. Chen brings it to his face, looks at it and thinks that he began to have nightmares after he took the mug for himself. Maybe it's all about her. He looks at the image of the girl on the mug and thinks that for such a cheap fake, the drawing is quite high quality. He runs his finger over the girl's face. Chen gets out of the car and, carrying a mug in one hand, goes to the exit. He says that of course there is no witch in the circle. He's just going crazy. Chen squeezes the mug with one hand so that his fingers are right on the girl's body. Suddenly, a voice comes from the mug, demanding that Chen remove his hands from Grandma Gu's body. Chen starts to turn his head, not understanding where the voice is coming from, since there is no one else around. The parking lot is completely empty. Chen thinks in fear that he really heard the voice of a ghost. The shadow behind him doesn't look like his shadow. This is an image of a monster, with red eyes and a mouth. Chen begins to reassure himself aloud that it's not worth panicking. There are no ghosts. He's just overworked or he's got schizophrenia. In any case, if he takes medication, then everything will go away. Chen runs away, saying that it's all because of fatigue. He just needs to go home and get a good night's sleep. And in the morning he immediately went to the doctor. Suddenly, someone blocks Chen's way, causing him to stop. This is Zheng, and behind him are several young guys who are all unfriendly. Zheng greets Chen, saying that he was waiting for him. The same is amazed. Chen thinks that this afternoon he disgraced this clown, so at night he decided to settle accounts with him. Chen thinks it's a good thing he took this with him, and reaches into the inside pocket of his jacket with his left hand. Chen is still clutching the mug in his right hand. Chen remembers how he was beaten by the guys who molested Guan, and thinks that this time he was prepared. Chen tells Zheng that he advises him to get out of his way and let him pass. Zheng smiles at his words. He comes up close to Chen and tells him that, however, in what tone he is talking to him. He thinks that if Chen gets down on his knees in front of him and begs him very hard, then he will think about sending Chen to the hospital for only a month. Zheng ends his speech by saying that otherwise he will make Chen disabled. The same one, moving back, is preparing to strike. He raises his weapon and, lowering his hand, makes a swing with a baton in front of him. One of Zheng's thugs in shock tells the boss that it seems Chen has a club. He angrily answers him that it changes. Does he really think that the baton will help Chen in some way? There are 6 of them here, they won't leave a wet spot from him. Zheng tells his friends to attack Chen. They readily rush to execute the command, rushing into battle with their fists. Chen meets their attack steadfastly, raising the baton above him. He hits one of the thugs on the head at the beginning, hitting the temple. He screams in pain and puts his hand to the wound, from which blood is coming, and shouts that Chen hit him on the head. Chen hits another attacker on the arm with a metal baton, causing him to scream in pain. 3 other guys run towards Chen from behind, intending to grab him while he's distracted. One of them grabs Chen from behind, squeezing his hands and not letting him move, and the other 2 begin to strike him on the stomach and head. Chen is in a lot of pain. The attacker continues to hold Chen, who starts bleeding from his mouth. The guy who received a blow on the head from Chen with a baton throws his friend aside by the scruff of the neck and says that he will now break all Chen's bones. He swings a metal pipe over Chen, who is half standing and does not even try to defend himself. The thug swings a metal pipe, preparing to hit Chen on the head. He sees a weapon flying at him. He puts a mug in front of him, on which the blow falls. However, the dishes are intact. Chen gathers his strength at this moment and, rising from his knees, hits the opponent in the stomach with a baton, causing him to lose his weapon and fly away. The guy falls to the ground and, pressing his hands to his stomach, shouts that Chen broke his rib. Chen puts a club to his head and, looking at the other attackers, shouts at them to get out. Otherwise, she is not responsible for herself. If they fight to the death, then one of them will have to die. The attackers look at Chen in horror, none of them dare to attack. Zheng points at Chen with his finger and shouts that he should not dare to think that he was afraid of him. Chen won't get off that easy next time. Chen, looking at the enemy with hatred, points a baton at him and says that if he says another word, he will cripple him. All the attackers are fleeing from the battlefield. Zheng runs ahead of everyone. Chen stays where he is. Blood starts coming out of his mouth. He thinks Zheng and all the attackers are cockerels. A drop of blood from Chen's mouth falls directly onto the image of the girl on the mug. Getting on the dishes, the blood is instantly absorbed into the drawing and this place begins to glow. The girl depicted on the mug is very happy about this. She says her patience has finally paid off. She's been waiting for this for so long. Her hour came and Chen's blood was spilled on her. She tells Chen to wait, they will meet soon. Chen, still holding the mug in his hands, walks down the street, talking to himself that Zheng he is an ordinary talker. Chen swears to himself that if Zheng ever gets to him again, he will spare no effort to defeat him. Chen remembers how the mug helped him in the battle. He brings it closer and says that it turns out this mug is a good thing. The dishes withstood the blow with a baton and did not even crack. The action is transferred to the student dormitory. Guy Bai-fan is playing a computer game. He is very focused and shouts that everything is clean. Bai asks who to launch, let them talk faster. A guy named Xing Jin-ki tells her to let him wait. He's not there yet. His glowing dagger is still in the CD. They need to wait until it increases. He also enthusiastically plays a computer game. A guy named Lin Jin-wai is less emotional than others, silently playing computer. The door opens and Chen enters the room. Xing is distracted from the game, turning around at the sound, and tells the others that Chen is back. He asks Chen why he is so late. Chen silently changes clothes, and holding on puts his mug on the bedside table next to the bed. Chen collapses on the bed and mutters that he was working, tired like a dog. There are 2 bunk beds in the room, next to which there are 2 tables, at which others play. Suddenly, the light in the room goes out. Exclamations are heard from the darkness that the lights were turned off at 12, and what should they do now? Here one of the speakers asks the others to be silent, since Guan seems to have already fallen asleep. The rest decide in this case to curl up and also go to bed. Warning: everything is also a student dormitory. A mug with a picture of a girl is also on the bedside table next to Chen's bed. He is sleeping peacefully in his bed. A spirit materializes above him, asking Chen to wake up. Chen waves the ghost away, asking him to leave him alone. The spirit's hand materializes and grabs Chen by the ear. He shouts who it is, and that the attacker has no conscience at all. He asks to let him sleep. Chen raises his head, rubbing his eyes, and says that if it's Xing's jokes again. Then he sees that he is not in his room, but floating in the air in the blue sky. Chen is surprised and doesn't understand where he is. He remembers for sure that he fell asleep in his dorm. Maybe he's dreaming all this. Behind Chen's back, the girl tells him to stop screaming and asks where he's looking. The lady is behind him. Chen turns to the voice in surprise. His eyes widen in shock. In front of him stands the girl depicted on the mug and looks at him. Chen admires her beauty, which he says out loud. The girl answers Chen sternly, addressing him as a kid. She says that the mistress of 3,000 dimensions is addressing him. If he continued to stare at her like that, she would gouge out his eyes. Chen is shocked by her words. Chen hits himself on the head and shouts what's going on here. He yells what kind of mistress and how he got here. He asks the girl that she is a witch or he was stolen by bandits. Chen says that if anything, he doesn't owe anyone money. His bank account is empty, and he hasn't won the lottery recently. Then Chen's nose starts to bleed. The girl looks at him with folded arms and says that she spent a lot of effort to bring Chen here, and he dares to call her a thief. Chen looks at her in embarrassment. His nose continues to bleed. The girl swings her fist at him. Chen asks her to stop, but she slaps him in the face. Then, calmly looking at how Chen is lying, he continues to talk, returning to the topic of their conversation. The mug that Chen found is actually a sacred glass, and they're inside him now. Chen rubs his head and shouts that the girl is sick. In response, the girl starts hitting him and shouts so that he does not dare to be rude to her. In 100 years, he is the first one who dared to insult her. She calls Chen a jerk and says that in the world of gods, her father is the head of all gods and spirits. The sacred glass recognized Chen's blood, which means he is now the savior of this world. Chen is shocked by such facts and says that no one asked him about it. The girl looks at the star lighting up above them in the sky and says that there is no time to explain everything. Chen must pass the test of 3,000 dimensions and help her return to her body. She says Chen has to go, the dimension will open soon. Chen takes off into the air. Chen is sucked into a glowing funnel in the air. The girl shouts to him that he has exactly 100 attempts. If Chen holds out for half a year, he will complete the task and return to his world. Chen is swallowed by the darkness. Chen wakes up and opens his eyes. He screams in horror, seeing that a sword blade is put to his throat. With one blow, the unknown blows off Chen's head. He regains consciousness again, and this time he dodges the swing of the sword. Chen jumps to the side, amazed that he has come to life. Then he sees that he is on the deck of the ship. There is a battle going on between people in blue and orange clothes who are fighting each other with swords. After several deaths, Chen realized that this was the very test that the goddess was talking about. Chen can be reborn after death, but he only has 100 attempts. Therefore, he began to really fight for his life. Chen doesn't really want to die here. Chen fights with opponents, inflicting fatal wounds on them, but he himself dies at their hands. Chen is going to definitely get out of this place and kick this goddess's ass. Chen dies again, and he comes to himself again. Chen moves away from the attack. He, along with other men, drives the attackers. Victory is for them. After a while, Chen delivers food and drinks to people. He has an orange headband on his head. They call him by his last name, demanding to bring food. He approaches a group of men who are discussing a huge hand. This is a hand from legend, which according to myths is the size of the sea. They also say that there is an invisible wall at the end of the sea. But even if the end of the sea exists, then their whole life will not be enough to find it. Chen ponders these words. Chen imagines a huge hand and a wall at the end of the sea and realizes that the men were talking about the walls of the mug, and the endless hand is his hand. There is a cry that pirates are here. Chen turns around, saying that really again. He kicks one of the pirates in the chest, simultaneously taking out his sword. Then, with one blow of the sword, Chen cuts off the attacker's head. The blades of a sword cross in front of Chen's head, and he whispers that damn this mug, this goddess, these pirates, and they'll all dance with him yet. After some time on the deck of the ship, a girl with an eye patch introduces the new deputy captain of the ship to the team. This is Chen. He's wearing beautiful red clothes. One of the team members is allowed amazed that Chen has become a senior assistant in less than 6 months, and finds it impressive. In response, the girl standing behind him says that this is not surprising. Chen fought masterfully, and single-handedly killed several dozen robbers already. Chen has heard it all, and he thinks irritably to himself that he has not taken this place in half a year. After each death, he started from the beginning. 20 years of battles made him a master. Today is the last day of his term. Finally, Chen will leave this cursed place, and the first thing he will do is deal with this goddess. A golden star lights up in the sky above Chen. He is carried to her from the deck of the ship. He shouts to his team that he does not know if he will see them again, so he says goodbye to them and asks them to take care of themselves. Bai Fan leans over the sleeping Chen. Chen abruptly rises to his feet and painfully hits his head with Bai Fan. She rubs her bruised chin and tells Chen that he slept under the table all night. She notes that it's amazing where Chen only got the strength after such a night. He hit him very hard. Chen turns to him in horror and asks him that it's only been one night. Bai Fan is frightened by his appearance, and he asks in a trembling voice what is wrong with him. Chen instantly changes his appearance and asks for forgiveness. He says that his whole body is numb, so he got up from the wrong foot. Chen asks that Bai Fan saw him sleeping under the table all night. He answers him that even if he really wants to pass English, this is not a reason to go to such extremes. So he will drive himself into a coffin. Bai says he's going to have breakfast and asks if Chen needs anything. He waves to him and asks him to grab him something to eat. Bai waves his hand in response and leaves. Chen remembers himself on the ship and examining his hands thinks that his strength and fighting skills have been preserved. Chen sits at the table and looks at the mug in front of him with hatred. The girl depicted on the mug winks at Chen and, addressing him as a little brat, asks how he is doing. An exciting test fell to him. The sea is a simple dimension. In the language of its planet, it's a breeze. Chen throws the mug in the air and shouts that she dragged him into some strange world for no reason and didn't ask if he wanted it at all. Chen shouts that with all this, the girl calls herself a goddess, she is just a kidnapper. She, spreading her arms to the sides, answers him that he is already on the ship and cannot get off it. Chen takes the mug and shouts angrily, which means he can't get off. He's not going to be involved in this anymore. He doesn't care about her ordeal. It didn't give up on him. The goddess replies that as soon as Chen spilled his blood on the glass, he became its master. Chen has no way back. If he refuses to participate, it will be counted as a failure, and he will have to be killed. Chen is horrified by such words. The goddess tells Chen that he is a stupid mortal and it is impossible to do business with him. She asks him to think about the fact that he really did not receive any benefit from the test. Chen ponders her words. Then, he says that every time after the test, he will need time to gain strength and recover. In the meantime, he tells the goddess to stay here and pray that he doesn't change his mind. After some time, Chen drives through the night city in his car. His dad is calling him. Chen turns on the speakerphone on his phone and dad tells him that important negotiations will take place tomorrow at the company. So he asks Chen to go to the hospital for him and check on mom. Chen anxiously asks his father if he has transferred the money for the medicines. This month they need to pay 20,000 again. He hears his father being called by someone, after which his dad tells him not to worry about money but to study well. Then his father turns off the call. Chen wearily puts his hand to his forehead and says that they already have debts of several 100,000 yuan. And then mom needs 20,000 every month for medicines. He remembers his father sitting by his mother's hospital bed. Dad tells him not to worry. His father works hard every day, but he earns only 15,000 a month. A notification sounds from Chen's phone that he has a new order. He looks resolutely in front of him and says that we will wait and see what will happen. After Chen finished working, he left the car and walks through the parking lot. He thinks that he has worked all day and is not a bit tired. Apparently, 20 years spent at sea have an effect. Here Chen meets Wen, who hugs him by the arm, which scares him. Wen squeezes Chen's hand and wonders where his biceps came from. Chen laughs and says he trains every day, and he is not happy that Van noticed changes in him. Wen looks at him from the side and says that it turns out Chen is training. She notes that he has become prettier with biceps. Then Zheng appears in front of them with a man in a kimono. Zheng pretends that he did not expect to meet Chen and is very glad to see him. He points to the man next to him and says he is happy to introduce Chen to the head of the university taekwondo group. Zheng says he'll see how Chen handles him. Chen asks when to hide for now, which she obediently does. The head of the university taekwondo group tells Chen that he heard that he was fighting with a baton that time. But against the great art of Korean taekwondo, a baton won't help Chen. He'll break all his bones. Zheng shouts to the master, addressing him Master Jin. That enough talk, we need to beat Chen. Master Jin rushes to attack Chen, raising his leg to strike. Chen blocks his punch with his hands, which is surprising. Chen tells Jin that he is going to dance with him now, and Chen goes into a counterattack, using the techniques he learned during the test. Master Jin screams in pain, not even trying to oppose anything. Wen, who is watching all this, is amazed that it really is Chen. Chen blocks Master Jin's kick again, and sends him flying with one kick of his foot. Master Jin flies off to the side, crashing into Zheng, and they fall to the ground together. Zheng tries to say something, but Chen slaps him in the face. Then, he takes Zheng by the clothes on his chest, and angrily looking at him asks if he really thinks he is joking with him. Zheng constantly brings someone with him to beat Chen. Does Zheng think that money will replace his courage? It occurred to Zheng that Chen could also arrange a fun life for him. Zheng is terrified. He asks Chen to calm down, saying that's not what he meant. Chen in response asks what he meant. Let him talk. Yesterday the punks, today the master of taekwondo, and tomorrow who will be? If Zheng is rich, he may think he can get Chen. He says in a trembling voice that he will not bother Chen anymore and gives his word of honor. Chen throws Zheng aside and says that this is the last warning. If he sees Zheng again, he will finish him off. At night, Van stands in the park near a tree with his arms crossed behind his back. Lanterns are burning nearby. The moon is shining brightly in the sky. Wang addresses someone hidden in the bushes as his uncle, asking him to tell Mr. Zhang Yun to talk to his son. Let Zheng he calm down already. Behind Wen, in the shade of the trees, there is a man with glasses who, in response to her words, says that this Cheng Guang is somehow suspicious. He wants to offer something, but Wen interrupts him, saying that Chen is her friend. No need to check it. Then, Wen looks up at the sky and asks out loud how many more secrets Cheng Guang keeps from her. Chen gets out of the car and watches the sun set. He walks a little to the side, holding the phone in his hands. Sunset is in full swing. Suddenly, someone grabs Chen by the shoulder. He turns around and sees a man with dark hair behind him, who, addressing him, offers to go talk. Chen removes his hand from his shoulder and says that the guy is not his type and he should fuck off. The man is amused by Chen's reaction. He puts his hand on the trunk of a tree, and a blue ring of energy appears around his palm. Chen is shocked by what he saw. The man repeats his request to go and talk again, and from the surge of energy, the tree under his palm splits in half. Chen smiles and readily agrees to the offer. Chen thinks to himself that he cannot cope with a man. They walk together towards the setting sun along the path illuminated by its rays. A video surveillance camera catches the reflection of the rays on a tree. When the sun has already set, Chen, looking around, notices aloud that they have been walking for a long time. The sun has almost set. He is afraid of the dark and offers to talk here. The man stops. Chen thinks that the surveillance zone of the university cameras ends here. It is dangerous to go further with a stranger. The man raises his fist in front of him and shouts to Chen that he is a brat. Then, he quickly turns around and rushes to the attack. Energy swirls around him in a blue vortex, and Chen flies straight into a tree from the blow. After hitting Chen, he falls to his knees on the ground. Chen tries to catch his breath, thinking what kind of person is in front of him. After his blow, his whole arm was numb. A man stands in front of him, his fist smoking. He asks Chen why he didn't use his inner strength. Chen squints and asks what kind of inner strength it is that the man has read fiction again. He says they're in the 21st century, not medieval China. The man looks at Chen's reaction and thinks that he does not seem to be pretending, but really does not know anything. The phone starts ringing in the man's pocket. He thinks it's Ven, who seems to have found out they're here. Out loud, he tells Chen that since that's the way things are, he's gone. The man quickly leaves the scene of their fight, leaving a confused Chen lying by a tree. Chen doesn't understand how the man just corrected himself in the air, really with the help of inner strength. Chen shouts to the man to wait and take him as an apprentice. Chen is running somewhere, and the man is watching him from behind a tree and tells himself that Chen should be grateful that he did not pile on him. The student was looking for. Even Ven didn't teach him, and he's even less his benefactor. The man thinks about who Chen is. If he doesn't know anything about inner strength, then how could he resist after the blow? And after all, the man's hand hurts a lot. After some time, the girl gets out of Chen's car and thanks the latter for giving her a ride. Chen replies that it's not worth it. The girl leans over to the driver's window and says that she has filming today. She invites Chen to watch. He replies that, unfortunately, he is busy today. Suddenly, somewhere away from them, an explosion is heard and a bright light illuminates everything. Chen rushes by car to the source of the sound. He is in a hurry, thinking what is there. Chen stops the car and runs, stopping at the railing, beyond which the water stretches. Not far from the shore, a burning ship is sinking on the water. A wooden ship is burning, barely keeping afloat. The flames engulfed almost the entire ship. There are ladies swimming in the water who are trying not to drown, holding onto the waves. Some people cling to the ship, someone can't stand it and breaks into the water. Rescuers rush from the shore to the drowning with a lot of inflatable circles. On the shore, a man explains to Chen that everything was fine just now, and then something exploded in the back of that beautiful boat. A fire lit up and smoke rose like a rocker. Chen thinks that most likely the ship's engine exploded. In theory, no one can get to this place. A girl from the shore points to something in front of her, shouting that there are two actresses there. They are suspended high in the air. Chen looks in shock at where the girl is pointing. He sees two girls in beautiful outfits hanging on ropes in the air, clinging to each other. They have straps attached to their chests, by which they are suspended in the air. The girls are very scared. One of them tries to unfasten the other's belts, but she can't. Some man shouts that the girls should rather be lowered down. The man to whom the order is addressed is sitting in a sweat and says that he can't do it. It seems that something has shorted out. At that moment, the ship capsized in the water. The girl screams that the ship capsized, and those two actresses fell into the water, and they are under the ship. Chen quickly takes off his clothes and throws them to the stunned old man, shouting for him to hold her. There is no time. He needs to save people. Chen jumps into the water, diving deep. The lifeguard holding one of the passengers of the ship does not understand who just jumped into the water. He is amazed at how fast he swam. Chen counts the seconds and mentally asks the girls to hold out. The count reaches 30 seconds. Chen swims to the ship, near which the girl is floundering. He grabs her. The count reaches 35 seconds. Chen pushes the girl up. There are rescuers there. The girl gasps for air, surfacing. The count reaches 40 seconds. Chen sees that two girls are strapped down below the ship. It's those actresses. The count reaches 60 seconds. Chen is swimming towards them as fast as he can. The count reaches 80 seconds. Chen sees one girl in consciousness holding the other without. She turns around, seeing that Chen has swum up. She pushes another girl into Chen's arms, and she flies back. Chen, understanding her action, thinks that she chose the wrong time to show selflessness. He doesn't understand where the lock is on the straps. The score reaches 91 seconds. The count reaches 100 seconds. Chen unbuckles the belt on the girl's back. The score reaches 101 seconds. Chen, holding the unconscious girl in one hand, swims to the other. The score reaches 102 seconds. It's been almost 2 minutes. They need to hold on. The girl reaches for Chen's hand. He unbuttons her belt, too. She loses consciousness. Chen, holding the girls in his hands, is rowing up with his feet, thinking that he should make it. Chen comes to the surface, gasping for air. The man from the boat shouts that it can't be. How could this happen? Those actresses are tightly bound. They'll suffocate underwater. If they die, his career is over. Here Chen abruptly jumps out of the water, holding two actresses by the arms. He soars into the air. The man shouts in shock what it is, mistaking Chen for a sea god. Chen shouts to those sitting in the boat to disperse, and together with the girls lands on the vacated seat. The man asks Chen how the girls are. The same one gives them an artificial heart massage and says that they are not breathing. Chen asks him not to distract. Chen remembers the sequence of actions. First, a heart massage, then inhale air. He performs all this on a girl with pink hair. She comes to her senses and begins to spit out water. Chen says this one is fine and the second one needs help. Chen begins to help a girl with dark hair. Both girls come to their senses and start coughing. Behind Chen, the press had already gathered on the shore. There are flashes of cameras and shouts that more photos should be taken. Those actresses were just saved by some fish man in his underpants. Maybe he's a naked snake with a human torso and a human head covered with a fan of snake heads on top. Chen, realizing that there are journalists there, is embarrassed that he is about to appear in front of the cameras in his underpants. He tells the man in the boat that he's leaving, about to jump into the water. He is amazed. Chen jumps into the water and swims away from the boat, thinking that if he quickly swims away from here, no one will see his clear face, much less take a picture. Chen swims out from the other side of the river, getting out on the sandy shore where some men are fishing. Chen thinks it's good that he swims fast, otherwise he would have been filmed in his underpants. That would be a shame. Chen sees a crowd of people running towards him, who greets the hero, calling him a knight in underpants and Poseidon. Chen is in shock. Chen takes off the fisherman's hat and puts it on his head. He runs away on a sandy beach from a crowd that wants to take a picture of him. Chen thinks he has no regrets, runs into the sunset and so passes his youth. At the same time, actresses who have not yet fully recovered are being led by the arms. They are told that their health is no longer in danger. Medical equipment was brought to the dining room. They should go there and do an ECG. Chen, running away from the crowd, stops under a tree, saying that he has finally escaped. He shouldn't be found here. People are approaching him along the beach, leading the actresses he rescued. Chen comes out from behind a tree and runs into this procession. Chen looks at them in horror, they also look at him. A man gives Chen a towel. The actress girl looks at Chen, thinking that here he is their savior. She is fascinated by him and begins to think about their future together. A girl actress with pink hair asks another girl with brown hair, pointing her finger at Chen about whether he is the person who saved them. The brunette with charm looking towards Chen says that yes, it's him. A friend puts her hand to her forehead and asks if she's okay. She blushed. The brunette walking away from her replies that everything is fine, she just needs to be examined. The girl with pink hair says that after the inspection they will approach Chen and personally say thank you. The friend only nods in embarrassment in response. The guy shows a gold sparkling suit. Chen, standing in a dressing gown, looking at the costume in horror, says that this is his costume for filming. If he is robbed, then the makeup artists will be to blame. Chen sees that the suit is very expensive and asks for simple clothes. The makeup artist laughs at Chen's reactions and tells him that they now have only this knight's armor left, so Chen should not turn up his nose. He asks Chen to see how the suit glitters and shimmers. Just a sight. Chen has such a powerful body, he also swims fast, he needs to be an actor. The guy offers Chen to have lunch together, since he should make acquaintances if he wants to build a career in art further. Chen refuses, and says he will leave, but he will return their things later. He takes the armor with him, and in his mind, Chen thinks that his car is left on the road. If it is evacuated, then tomorrow he will not be able to earn his lunch. The guy asks Chen to wait, and takes out a bundle of banknotes from his bag. He hands Chen a stack of 100 bills. Chen politely refuses, saying that it is indecent to take money for help. He has already put on the armor given to him. The guy asks Chen to take the money, saying that he deserved it. Chen takes the bills, because at such a time they do not refuse money. Chen waves goodbye to the guy, saying that if nothing else is required of him, then he needs to go. He is afraid that something will happen to his car. Chen strides towards the door when it opens and a man with a red beard walks in. Chen and the man collide foreheads. A man rubbing his bruised head yells that Chen is blind or something. Chen apologizes, saying that he did not notice the man. The man, who turns out to be the director, evaluates Chen's appearance and believes that he looks impressive in armor. Chen would still have a hairstyle for those times to do and he would be the spitting image of an admiral. He tells Chen that he has a muscular body, and he's also cocky. Chen is offered to star in the film. He confusedly replies that he did not study to be an actor and does not know how to play. The man replies that it's okay, they won't take Chen for the main role right away. He will shoot it himself, make more takes and everything will work out. Chen thinks about it and asks if they pay a lot for an amateur game. But the same one thinks it's rude to ask such a question. The man laughs and says that Chen is a business guy. If Chen stays in the frame for 30 seconds, then 100 pieces of him. They have a big shoot and they don't complain about money. Chen is shocked by such an offer. He thinks that today he is simply attracting money. For 100,000, he can buy medicines for his mother for 5 months. Chen says he agrees to act in a movie. Now he will park the car and come back. Chen thinks that staying in the frame for 30 seconds is nonsense. He has been portraying a pirate for 20 years, so he can easily cope with this. The man waves goodbye to Chen, introducing himself as Ding Xiaogan. He tells Chen that he will keep his word. Chen may not be in a hurry to return the suit today. Chen can come back in a couple of days when the shooting will take place. He will take him on the role. The brunette menacingly asks the director how he could let Chen go. Her partner stands behind her in shock. She says they wanted to thank Chen for everything. She even asked Joe's sister to prepare the money, And where should they look for it now? Ding Xiaogang asks the actresses not to worry. He invited Chen to star with them. In a couple of days they will meet him again, and they will have plenty of time to thank him. After some time at night on the streets of the city, Chen walks down the street in his armor. He sees a man ahead and an inspector standing next to him. Chen understands that this is a traffic police inspector who is standing and writing something out. Chen, in a panic, begins to justify that he ran to save people, and he thinks that his license or car can now be taken away from him. The traffic police inspector exclaims to Chen that he is the lifeguard. Chen is a hero. Today, he will not withdraw points from Chen's driver's license, but another time, Chen should follow the rules of the road. Chen is a real brave man and everyone around him is for him. Chen is shocked by these words and by the fact that the inspector decided to shake his hand. Chen stands awkwardly while people around him take pictures of him on their mobile phones. The action is transferred to a huge high-rise building in which wealthy people live. The dark-haired actress looks at Chen's hat with affection. Lying on the sofa, her friend is drying her hair with a towel. She turns to the brunette Yage and asks why she is so fascinated by this hat. Yage presses the hat to his face and replies to his girlfriend, Yu, that it is their savior's hat. Yu sits down on the sofa and says with joy in her voice that little Yage has finally grown up and fallen in love. The tablet lying on the table makes a sound, which means that a notification has arrived. The guy looks into the phone, from where the announcer broadcasts that despite the difficult situation, the new hero Trusaman has retained his courage and presence of mind. On the bus, people are sitting looking at their gadgets, from where it is heard that Rybaman saved movie stars from death by swimming 50 meters in 23 seconds with lightning speed. He almost broke the national record. The hero in underpants is actually a taxi driver. A photo of Chen running along the beach in his underpants is shown, with the caption Knight in underpants, rear view. A real hero is not afraid of humiliation when people's lives are at stake. This guy stripped almost naked to save the drowning. Chen walks through the classroom and hears two of his classmates, a guy and a girl, discussing the news. Bai Fan shows the girl the phone and asks her to look, saying that this guy wanted to save people. But because of the journalists, he became a laughing stock on the whole internet. That poor guy. The girl replies that she does not have time for this. She will need to make an announcement soon. The girl thinks that Bai Fan is giving, because how can he laugh at the man who saved people from death? Chen pushes Bain Fan aside and asks the prefect what kind of announcement she wants to make and that it is better to voice it right away. The headman replies that it's about the new teacher. Chen thinks that he should quickly change the subject, because suddenly he will be recognized in the photos. How he would look into Van's eyes after that. If she cancels their deal, he will fail English. Bai Fan turns around and indignantly shouts to Chen what he is doing. Then she freezes, remembering something. Then, he tells Chen that he definitely saw him wearing the same underpants as the guy in the photos. He asks Chen with a smile if he's on the news. He asks him not to stick to him. And of course it's not him. Bai Fan shows the headman a photo from the internet and asks if she believes Chen, to which she replies in the affirmative. Chen denies everything, thinking that he cannot confess. A red-haired guy sitting at his desk tells Bain Fan not to attribute abilities to Chen that he does not have. He asks if the others have seen the report. That guy almost broke the national record. He will walk along the seabed faster than Guan will swim. Bai Fan in response begins to insult him, as he did not like his tone and words, and the same replies that Bai Fan should shut up. Bai Fan turns to Xing Jinqi and says that this idiot, pointing at the guy, is running into him again and he needs to be shown. The same one rolls up his shirt sleeves with readiness for a fight. They almost start a fight when Chen appears between them, calming both of them. Chen tells Xing that one more reprimand and he will be expelled, and their classmate provokes them on purpose. Xing says that they are not patient to let such a thing go. Chen starts whispering in his ear that they should call the enemy somewhere where there are no cameras and break their leg by doing something. Without witnesses, he will not prove anything, and he will not be able to play basketball, which will also be a plus. The headman suddenly grabs Chen by the hand and with a pleading voice asks them all to stop swearing. They are classmates, and this is their last year together and can't they spend it peacefully? Then she abruptly pulls Chen by the sleeve of his shirt, tearing off a piece of it. And everyone can see Chen's developed musculature. This causes a shock to everyone present. The headman apologizes to Chen, saying that he will buy him a new shirt. He asks her not to worry, because he didn't like the shirt anyway. He reminds the headman about the announcement that she was going to make, and he thinks that this was his only decent shirt in which he was going to go to the shooting. The headman goes to the blackboard in front of the class and says that Professor Shen is ill, so the university has put another teacher to replace him. It's a girl. Immediately, questions come from the class about whether this is a young and pretty girl, whether she has a young man, and whether she will meet someone. The headman is shocked by such questions and asks the class to support teacher Zhuo together when she comes. She hopes that the whole class will take an active part in the upcoming Olympiad. A classmate answers her, which of course, even Professor Shen didn't count on it. Pan Jiang will go from their group to the basketball team. Isn't that enough? The basketball player replies that he will not go. He has nothing to do there except to disgrace himself. The door opens and a woman in red shoes enters. She says it's been a long time since she's been here. She walks into the classroom. It's a pretty blonde who greets the class. All the guys in the class exclaim what a beautiful new teacher they have. They immediately shout with alacrity, just making fun of the headman. They will participate in the Olympiad. They will go there and take all the rewards. They are so glad that the teacher takes care of them. Xing Jinqi says that he became a champion runner last year and will definitely bring their group victory. The teacher smiles and thanks the class for such support. If they want to participate in the Olympiad, they can sign up with the headman. The headman watches her classmates sign up for the Olympics by running, thinking that the attitude to this event has changed dramatically. She invites everyone to enroll wherever they want, but they need to keep in mind that only one student from the class can enroll in each sport. Whoever signed up earlier is the participant. Chen sits holding a book in his hands and asks Bai Fan to look at this herd of sheep. Just now they were all against the Olympics, and now they are fighting to sign up for it. And all because of a pretty teacher. Bai Fan slams his hands on the table and shouts to the others to write him down as soon as possible. Chen is shocked by this neighbor's behavior. Chen gets up and walks to the exit of the classroom, thinking that who would have thought that everyone would go crazy because of their teacher. He seems to be the only one over whom her charms have no power. Therefore, Chen decides to leave faster. Then someone grabs him by the shoulder, holding him in place. This is the headman who asks where to enroll him, because he is the only one who is not participating yet. Chen replies that why is he needed there, because so many people have already signed up. The headman says that Chen is needed because the teacher said that everyone should participate, so he won't be able to escape. The red-haired guy gets into their conversation, saying that Guan is too gentle for a rough sport. It's not worth forcing him. Otherwise, Chen might faint from overexertion. Chen is angry at these words. Chen takes off very quickly, walks up to the guy, grabs his finger and says that he got it. Chen pulls the guy's hand aside and says that very soon he will have one less finger. He screams in pain, asking Chen to stop. The headman approaches them and asks Guan to let him go. She says Chen should think about a new teacher. She just took their group, and they're already fighting. If Chen breaks something to a classmate, it will hurt her too. Chen lets the guy go, telling him that if he says anything about him again, he will get it from him in full and let him not anger him anymore. The guy is holding his finger, sobbing. The headman says it's good that the conflict is over, and now Chen has to sign up for the competition. He looks dejectedly at the piece of paper handed to him. Chen sees that this is a sheet with the competition 400 meters crawl swimming. He understands that if he signs up for swimming, then everyone will know that he is a coward and his reputation at school will come to an end. The headman stands and holds in his hands the registration form in which Chen signed up for a crawl. Someone grabs her shoulder. She turns to the red-haired guy, Pan Jiang, and asks what he wanted. He says that there is a guy at the Faculty of Architecture who was a swimming champion. He will also participate and Guan will blow him clean. The headman says it doesn't matter. The main thing is victory, not participation. And she leaves, leaving the guy alone. He takes out his phone and starts calling someone. Xing Jinqi asks Chen if he will really participate in the Olympics. He, Chen, Lin Jinwei and Bai Fan are walking down the corridor. Lin Jinwei, hugging Chen by the shoulder, says that last month he invited him to the pool, but he said that he could not swim. Chen replies that it was an excuse not to go to the pool with a guy. Bai Fan gives him a suspicious look. Chen leaves, leaving the comrades to continue to communicate and argue with each other. Chen receives a message on his phone about Wen with a question about whether he is busy, and an offer to go to the library together. Bai Fan abruptly snatches Chen's phone and looks at the message, exclaiming in surprise that it's Wen, the star of their campus. He tells Chen that he will tell him this now. Bai Fan, looking at the phone, says that today Guang was flirting with a beauty from their class. He gives a tooth that there is something between them. Fan is worth pushing. Chen abruptly snatches back his phone, telling Bai Fan to mind his own business. The other guys watch them in silence. After that, Chen leaves, telling Wen on the phone that he will be there soon. His friends shout at his back that he is a soulless alpha, and that Van should finish him off. After listening to Chen, Wen is surprised that he will go to play computer games. He doesn't want to pass English anymore and their deal is cancelled. Chen tells her that she needs to rest sometimes. She has no idea how much he has been studying in recent days. So right now all he wants is to turn off his brain and regain his strength. Van looks at him doubtfully and says that "I want to play" is written on his forehead. She thinks it has nothing to do with recuperation. Chen makes a pleading look and says that he really hasn't played for a long time. He asks to give him a normal rest today. Chen thinks to himself that 20 years in the circle will be enough for him to learn English. Wen replies that it's good, Chen really tried lately, and she just hasn't played for a long time. She offers to go together, it will be more fun. Computer club. There are computers on long tables. Van is sitting in front of one of them, and asks him to load faster. She wants to start playing. Chen is sitting at a nearby computer with a smile. Van plays from an account with the name "The Guy with the Princess Syndrome" and the status of the strongest king, 7,000 MMR. Chen is playing from an account with the name "Breaking into the Village to Widows on Goose", student status, 3,000 MMR. Chen plays for the Blue Spirit and Wen plays for the Magician. Chen says that he is back in the game and will win today, while Wen replies that she is also serious. As a result, Chen loses 3 times in a row. In a game chat, one of the players asks to stop feeding opponents, that is, intentionally die in the game, give the opponent an advantage. Chen is depressed, as his defeats are perceived as a deliberate loss. It turns off the sound of the talking character in the chat. His character wanders alone in the game world. Another character in the chat says they can win. Chen turns off the sound from him as well. The character Wen tells Chen that he screwed up. She has 7 wins, 1 loss and 3 draws, while Chen has 8 losses. Chen replies that nothing can be done about it. He has not played for a couple of months, he has lost the skill. In response to which the Magician only laughs, saying that he had so many skills. In reality, Chen turns to Wen with a plea, saying that he is going to lose again, and asks her to replay. She laughs and says that no, we have to play to the end. Chen picks up a cup of coffee and says this is what his life is like. He's drinking coffee with headphones on. Then he opens his eyes and enters the world of the mug, and shouts that he actually played. The goddess appears in front of him and tells him what she saw. And if it wasn't for his girlfriend, he would have already lost a long time ago. This angers Chen and he slaps the goddess in the face, telling her not to dare to laugh at him. She takes off into the air and angrily replies that as a mortal Chen, he dares to touch her. Chen says he's been wanting to hit her for a long time and now the opportunity has finally presented itself. He goes on to say that does she know how bad it was for him when he was stuck in this mug for 20 years. The goddess needed a rescuer, you see. Let her try how he died 95 times and start over after each time. The goddess replies that she will now go down to Chen and they will talk, and quickly rushes to the shocked Chen. She lands with deafening force, causing Chen to fly away screaming. When the dust clears, the goddess is lying on her back. Her eyes are closed. She is unconscious. Chen looks at her and doesn't understand why she doesn't move. He says in shock that she can't just give up, she's a goddess. Chen puts his fingers to the girl's nose and realizes that she is not breathing. Chen is terrified because he doesn't know what to do. If the goddess is dead, then he will not be able to leave the mug. Then the goddess comes to her senses and shouts at Chen with hatred. How can he think about himself when she is dying? Now he will feel the full power of her divine power. Chen gets punched in the face by her. The goddess calls Chen names and starts hitting him a lot of punches on the face and body. Chen falls down in a knockout, all beaten up. The goddess is angry at Chen, thinking that it is worth strangling him. But if he dies, she will remain in this glass forever. The goddess approaches Chen and starts beating him up again, saying that he should consider himself lucky today. Previously, she would have killed him for this, and 100,000 more spirits that came to hand. Chen lies all swollen and bruised. He covers his head with his hands and asks again about how many spirits the goddess would kill, and where she has the strength to do it, since she passed out from one of his blows. The goddess slaps Chen in the face, telling him not to dare to be impertinent to her. She spent all her strength trying to transfer it into a glass, and he took and punched her right after that, so she passed out. Chen rubs his bruised face and tells the goddess that she herself made him her savior and let him not complain now. He hit her so that she would know that he was not some kind of rag. He may be mortal, but he has a character. He doesn't care what kind of goddess she is. If she wants him to pass her 3,000 tests, she will have to respect him. The goddess turns her head offensively and says that it's not easy for her either. Does Chen really think that one is suffering? She spent a lot of effort to get him here, and she's running out of time. The goddess says she will explain to Chen how the glass works. If the sacred glass is ready to start the test, then Chen can get into it at any moment. It doesn't matter if Chen wants it or not. He is not happy about such prospects. Which world is in the glass will depend on what is in it. If there is liquid inside, then the sea will appear. And if he puts sand in there, he will end up in the desert. There are 9 levels in total in the glass. Now Chen is at the first level. This is the lowest step. Chen confuses the goddess with his gaze, and she sends him to hell, hits him in the face. Chen is carried away into a glowing funnel. Chen is lying on a glowing surface high in the sky. The goddess says that she didn't have enough strength this time, so Chen will have less water. Chen doesn't understand what it means to have less water. He asks if the goddess is taking revenge on him. She replies that Chen will not feel hungry, thirsty, or tired here. He can play as much as he wants. She asks if Chen can see the computer. He needs to go to him and start playing. The trial will end when Chen wins. Chen sees a wooden table, a chair, and a computer standing in the middle of the playground. He shouts indignantly that this will not do. He doesn't like this hard wooden chair. He wants a comfortable leather chair. The goddess refuses his request, saying that it will take too much divine power. Chen should be glad that this chair is not one-legged. And she went. Chen approaches the computer and looking at the monitor asks what it is. He realizes that this is the same game he just played in the computer club. Is it really necessary to pass the games in the test this time? Chen smiles, realizing that to become the first in the game, 3 things are needed: a quick reaction, a high skill, and an understanding of the essence of the game. If Chen wants to get out of here as soon as possible, then he needs to win as soon as possible. Chen starts the game. 10 days later, a voice with congratulations is heard. The player has scored 60 MMR and can continue in the same spirit. Tired with bruises under his eyes, Chen says that he wants to take a break from the game. But for some reason he is not tired at all. He just wanted to play and relax, and she made him play until he lost his pulse. 20 days later, a voice with congratulations is heard. The player has scored 80 MMR. Even more irritated and with big bruises under his eyes, Chen demands the computer to shut up. A month later, a voice with congratulations is heard. The player has won. Barely alive Chen, from whom an unpleasant smell emanates, says that at last. He is not shaved. He has huge bruises under his eyes and tears are flowing. Chen sees a glowing vortex and says that he will finally be able to leave here. Chen wakes up in the real world and hears someone asking the goose to help him, that he was stuck there near the fountain. Chen is horrified to realize that only 1 minute has passed since his journey to the dimension in the real world. Chen turns towards the intently playing Wen. She turns to him and says that it looks like they will lose. Chen rubs his hands, thinking it's time to test his newfound skills. Chen is ready to play. He wins the game with resounding success, destroying 5 opponents at once with 1 blow. In the headphones, the partners admire Chen, saying that he turns out to be only pretending to be a noob. Chen thinks it's worth listening to his partner praise him. Wen, who is sitting next to her, is delighted and asks Chen why he hasn't played like this before. She asks Chen how he did it. Chen gets up from his chair and realizes that he has to run or he will throw up right there. He says out loud that he will leave for a minute. He needs to go to the toilet. Van looks after him questioningly. Wen thinks that even if Chen is tired of her, that's no reason to react to her like that. She's the star of their campus. Chen quits the game and wearily puts his hand to his head, closing his eyes. Van takes his face in his hands and asks what just happened to him. She turns his head from side to side and asks why his face is so white. What's wrong with him? Chen replies that he must be sick. Wen lets him go and is surprised that Chen got sick in this weather. Chen says he probably overheated and is very ill. Van leans closer to him, asking if he thinks he's overheated. Chen is confused by her behavior and thinks about why she is so attentive. At least she didn't notice that he had changed while he was sitting in a mug. Chen says out loud that while he was sitting in the game, he was thinking how he could win, and apparently overextended a little. He felt sick from the game. Van believes his words, nodding. She says she has heard that this happens when there is an imbalance in the liver, and Chen is weak, although sometimes he surprises with unexpected talents. Wang takes Chen by the jacket on his back and drags him to the exit of the club, saying that Chen gives. He was driven by some unfortunate game. It's time for them to go back to uni. Next to them, some guy calmly continues to play. Chen stretches out his hand in front of him in shock, shouting that he almost forgot his mug, which was left standing on the table. After a while, Chen and Wen walk down the street, and he says he will rest and go to the parking lot. He wants to work at night. Tomorrow is the weekend, so he can go to bed later. Wen takes Chen by the ear and pulls on himself, sternly saying that he has completely lost his mind. He is so tired, and at the same time wants to go to taxi. He should go to bed immediately. Chen says he will listen to her. Chen leaves, and Wen stands at the gate looking after him. He thinks the devil pulled his tongue. It was necessary to take her home first and then go to the taxi. Chen comes out from behind the gate and looks around, thinking that he felt bad because of the game. If he gets behind the wheel, he will just get distracted and checked, otherwise he will not fall asleep at night. Chen walks towards the parking lot to his car, and Van watches him from behind the wall. She thinks that Cheng Guang is a lousy liar. He's going to take a taxi, even though he's terribly tired. Why doesn't he ask her for money? She's his friend. Chen drives, thinking that now he taxis not for money, but for mood and relaxation. He receives a notification about a new order. Chen accepts the challenge. He greets and asks if the client has the correct geolocation. If so, then he will come for him now. An ouch is heard from the phone, and then the question of who Chen is in general and let him not interfere with sleep. Chen doesn't understand what's going on and did he get the wrong number? It can't be he called through the app. Chen decides to try calling again.